my name is Emily Schober, and I'm going to be telling you guys a little bit more about my hometown, Grapevine, Texas. This is where I've grown up my whole entire life, as well as my family, so we've got a whole bunch of family history around the area. I'm going to start off by showing you guys my first slide, which is Grapevine, Texas. This is going to be a map of the town. Here's where Grapevine is, and it's located just on the outside of Dallas in the DFW area, and it is in Tarrant County. If you guys have ever traveled out of DFW Airport, that is located in Grapevine. So a lot of the times that's how people become familiar with Grapevine, is just through traveling and going into the city that way. The next page I'm going to show you is the downtown Main Street. I live just right down the street from downtown Main Street, so I got to experience all the festivals that they had and all the events that occurred down on Main Street. And I also got to become more familiar with the history on the Main Street as well. I'm going to start off with this picture here. This is the 1940s Palace Arts Theater. This is where they used to play a whole bunch of classical movies. They would set up a time show, and they would allow people to come into this old theater and view these classical movies like they were viewed back in the day. This down here is going to be the pavilion that's located on Main Street. During the holidays, they have a huge Christmas tree that is next to the pavilion that lights up and is all decorated. And actually, a fun story, I actually had my 3rd birthday party on this pavilion with my friends. I was turning 3, and we all got to dress up and have a tea party on that pavilion. So there's great memories there. This right here, this is the Glockenspiel Clock Tower, located on Grapevine Main Street. It definitely just brights up the town. It was made in 1990s, and the clock itself is just a beautiful piece of architecture. It's definitely a major part of the history on Main Street. And it's just beautiful to look at. This over here is Grapevine Main Street. During the daytime, there's a whole bunch of shops, restaurants, salons, boutiques, and there's also a whole bunch of vineyards. Grapevine's known for its wine, so it's a really cool place to go and have a bunch of wine samples and test out the different flavors. Down here, this is our city hall. This is actually a really cool piece of architecture as well. Whenever a whole bunch of the old historic buildings were getting demolished, they took bits and pieces of those buildings and incorporated them into this building. So it's really cool to see how that was incorporated into the history of Grapevine. This is probably one of my favorite things about Main Street. It's called the Tarantula. This train goes all the way down from Grapevine Main Street to the Fort Worth Stockyards. It's so cool. You'll get to ride the train all the way there, and then once you get to the Stockyards, you get to get out and experience that town and their atmosphere in Fort Worth as well. Also, during the holidays, they decorate the train like the Polar Express and let families go on there with their pajamas and eat popcorn and drink hot chocolate during the holidays. So that's a fun thing to do in Grapevine. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the school districts. I lived right down the road from the Main Street, but I was zoned for Colleyville, which is a little strange. So there's 2 different high schools in the district. There's Colleyville Heritage and there's Grapevine High School. Here's going to be a picture of Grapevine High School. They're the Mustangs. This is the oldest school building that they have in the area right now. And then Colleyville Heritage was recently built just a few years ago. And even though it is new, they have a really high success rate for college prep and student success there. They're the Panthers. And this is a picture of me and my spirit sisters whenever I was a senior in high school at Colleyville Heritage. That's me right there. Okay, on to the next page. This is my favorite page. Grapevine is known for being the Christmas capital of Texas. They decorate the whole Main Street with lights and Christmas decorations. and they definitely are able to show their Christmas spirit. Here's a picture of Main Street at nighttime. Here's that glockenspiel clock tower that is all lit up during the holidays. Some of the shops that are also lit up with a whole bunch of lights. This is their big Christmas ornament that shows that they're the Christmas capital of Texas. And then there's that pavilion and the Christmas tree that I was talking about during Christmas time when it's all lit up. This is going to be during the Christmas parade. This is a float that's going down Grapevine Main Street. During the holidays, they have an annual Christmas parade that is actually the largest Christmas parade in all of North Texas. So that's a pretty special thing to hold in this town. So next page is going to be something that I learned while doing my research about my community. I had no idea that they had a women's shelter and community that women in crisis could go to. But after further research, I learned about the Gatehouse. The Gatehouse is a piece of property that is funded by a nonprofit. So they can bring in women and children, if they even have children, to come and live in these apartments on the compound. And there's a playground for the kids. There's a grocery store that they can go grocery shopping at. And there's also boutiques and clothing stores on the property, so that they do not have to leave the area without feeling safe or not secure. I love this idea, and I love how my community is helping women in need like this, because a lot of the times these women are so scared and they don't feel safe, and this place brings them security. And I think that's awesome for my community to come together and discover new paths. This next page is going to be the major landmarks in the area. This right here, this is the Gaylord Texan. If you've ever heard of the Gaylord Texan, it's a very high-class hotel. There's shops in there. There's restaurants in there. It's a huge place. This is also where they hold the ice exhibit during the holidays with a whole bunch of ice sculptures. It's a beautiful, beautiful hotel, gorgeous rooms, and a lot of people, when they travel here, this is where they want to stay. This down here is Grapevine Lake. It's a beautiful lake area. They are great with the community. They'll do fireworks during the summer. There's baseball fields and soccer fields all surrounding the lake, also that local teams can come and practice on. This is Nash Farm. It's a historic Texas farm. They've got this greenhouse where families used to live in the 1900s. And they also have a farm area where they keep sheep and cattle and chickens around the land. They also have a cornfield, and they do many events and fundraisers out here on this property as well. This right here is my coolest historic, my favorite part about the history of Grapevine. This is the Torian cabin. It was built in the 1845, and it was given to the Torian family. And after getting threats of demolition, it was actually preserved and brought onto Main Street so that the security of it could be kept for everybody to see. And now you can actually go into the cabin and view how the Torian family actually lived whenever they were in there. It's set up the exact same way from whenever they lived there. Overall, I had a great time researching my community. I learned a lot more about where I grew up and my hometown, and I was really interested in learning how much of an impact the community can have on everybody. I think it's really important to volunteer and help your community out. And I think that's a big part that I took away from this project. And I hope you guys learned a little bit about my town's history and how we continue to change and do better as a community. Thank you guys.